Hello everyone and welcome to CRL's Accessing CRL Collections webinar. My name is James Simon. I'm the Vice President for Collections and Services here at CRL, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this special session of CRL's general orientation to our program. It looks like we have about 42 attendees signed on right now and more joining as we speak. Just wanted to welcome you all this afternoon in Chicago anyway, and thank you for joining us. As the event page describes this session, this is focused particularly on ways to maximize access to CRL's collections and programs. So it's a different take than what we've done before, where we spend a bit of time describing the collections and the other materials. So it's very much geared towards information and practical tips that you can use to maximize access to the CRL benefits. I'm pleased to welcome a number of long-standing members to the call today, people who've been with us for 60 plus years, as well as several new members or recently joined members, including Brandeis, the New College, University of North Texas, and others. We also have some guests who are joining us who are interested in CRL membership. So I hope that this gives you a proper overview to some of the benefits that you might be able to obtain through participation in CRL. Just a couple of quick housekeeping notes as we begin here. We are muting all of the phones and the call-in lines as you enter the session. This is to cut down on background noise and to make sure that you can hear us as we go through this. As a result, however, you may not be able to use voice messaging to ask questions. So we do encourage you to submit your questions via the chat function. Should be on the right hand of your screen, or you might see a talkie bubble at the top of your screen that you can click on to see the chat. At any point during the conversation, feel free to submit questions or comments, and we will look to address those either in the course of our presentation or towards the end when we have some time for Q&A or discussion on any of the points. So I think that's the major piece of housekeeping I wanted to present. Let me just pull up the agenda so you can see what we're going to be presenting over the course of the next hour. So I'm going to provide a very brief overview of CRL's collection and mission, but we're going to jump right into more of the access sides of things today, where we're going to talk about how to discover the CRL collections, including our growing body of e-resources, and how to get access to the CRL collections through lending, article delivery, digital access, and work with our partner institutions. I will be talking a little bit more about our partnerships and how CRL has been growing its network of trusted institutions to extend the reach of CRL's collections beyond what we hold physically here in Chicago. And then we'll provide some practical tips on ways that you can best promote CRL on campus and to your patrons, and to extend the benefits to the largest body of constituencies on campus. And as I said, we'll have some time for question and answers. Some introductions. I've already mentioned my name is James. I'm the Vice President for Collections and Services, and joining me today are three of our top team here: Amy Wood, who's the Head of Technical Services, Kevin Wilks, the Head of Access Services, and Virginia Kerr, our Head of Communications and Development. We will be very pleased to have you reach out to us after the presentation if we don't address any particular questions you have, and we'll make sure to provide you our email addresses towards the end of the session. For those of you who may not be as familiar with CRL as others, let me just provide a 2-second introduction. We are a consortium of more than 200 academic and independent research libraries. Our member institutions are our governing body. You support the mission and purpose of CRL through the annual support that you provide, and you have a say in the strategic directions of the center as well as our collection growth. The community is largely a North American audience of academic research libraries, including some of the major universities like Harvard and Yale, but also undergraduate and liberal arts colleges such as Oberlin or Vassar. We've also been extending our reach through our global membership program to institutions in Germany, Hong Kong, India, and our newest global member in Lebanon. Together with the community of our libraries, CRL's mission is to support the advanced research and teaching in all disciplines. Though our strongest fields are primarily in the humanities and social sciences, we also support the hard sciences as well. We accomplish that mission by preserving critical historical and cultural evidence that neither individual libraries nor commercial publishers alone can preserve, and we make those materials available to researchers in all formats. CRL's efforts over the past 6 or nearly 7 decades now have generated a collection of primary source materials the size of a major research library. In our facility here in Chicago, we have more than 5 million volumes or volume equivalents containing primary source materials in book format, journals, archival collections, and newspapers as well. I just want to touch on some of the major aspects of our collection, even though I said that we wouldn't be focusing on collections. For those who are less than familiar with the strengths of our collections, CRL, one of the largest collections at CRL is our newspaper collection. We have more than 14,000 titles of newspapers, including U.S. general circulation newspapers, special U.S. audience newspapers like ethnic collections or our civilian conservation corps papers. But the bulk of our newspapers are primarily international in nature. We hold newspapers from countries all over the world, covering from more than 150 countries, covering from the 1700s to the present, although the bulk of materials in the 20th century. We maintain current subscriptions, and we engage in original microfilming and digitization of newspapers, and we acquire this material on demand for our member institutions. We also have an extensive collections of serials and journal literature, more than 60,000 catalog titles, and we maintain current subscriptions to a number of titles as well. We collect materials in this area to complement our members' own interests. So we collect specialty science materials, trade materials, and materials from other parts of the world through the Library of Congress programs. Although the bulk of our journal collection's in hard copy, we provide article delivery in partnership with the Linda Hall Library of Science, Technology, and Engineering, which I'll be describing later on. And we also provide digital access through other content partnerships. Another aspect of our collection that you may be familiar with is our international dissertation collection. We have more than 800,000 foreign doctoral dissertations, that is, dissertations produced outside of the United States and Canada. These cover all dates, subjects, and languages, and the bulk of the collection is a 20th century collection, though it extends back several centuries before that as well. And the strengths are primarily in European institutions, though we have representative collections from all over the world. Finally, I just wanted to mention the government documents and archives collections that CRL has built up over the course of its history. We maintain large collections of special archival materials from institutions like the U.S. National Archives and others around the world, and we collect official gazettes, state documents, and other materials to supplement access to these materials that you may not have collected on your own. Overall, we have a wealth of materials that are described on our website and through our catalog, and we'll be jumping into that right now as I turn this over to Amy Wood to talk more about the discovery of CRL resources. Amy?
Hello, this is Amy Wood, the head of technical services here at the Center for Research Libraries. The CRL catalog holds all of the catalog records for our resources for our collection here at CRL. And we catalog according to RDA cataloging standards and with MARC records with UTF-8 encoding. So the CRL records can be used by any library system using these standards. We can supply the records directly to you or work with you to ensure that your system will engage with ours in the best way possible. So if you're exploring the CRL collection and what we hold, the best place to start is with our web catalog. And on here you'll find not just the search box, but you'll also find other resources to help you discover the collection. We know that most researchers are not just exploring the big parts of the collection or just, the overview of the collection, but they're actually targeting in small parts of the collection. So we've created different scopes to help guide their searching. We also have created topic guides to provide researchers with the best selection of CRL resources for over 40 different subjects, from African studies to World War II. And in those topic guides, you'll find direct links into the catalog to help you access the resources. CRL also provides reference surface to help individual researchers find what they need. So if you can't find what you need through the catalog or through the topic guides, sending an email to Mary Wilkie to help find the resources you need is probably the best thing to do. So the All CRL title scope includes all 1.4 million catalog records that CRL has. All of the usual catalog searches and advanced searching tools such as limiting by collection or type of material are available and can be employed in all of the scopes. Under the serial scope, you will find all of the records for the serials, no matter the format. So print, microform, and electronic records can all be found here. And these are for CRL's main collection and also through the records for our partners, for the Linda Hall, the LLMC. Under the newspaper scope, you will find the roughly 14,000 plus newspaper titles and an additional 5,000 Civilian Conservation Corps papers that we consider part of the newspaper collection. The newspapers are such an important part of the overall collection that we've created guided searches to help you navigate and find what you need. The first let's back up one. The first shows lets you search by country or U.S. state, and the next guides you through the ethnic newspaper collection by ethnic group, and we have just under 900 titles in that collection. The third helps you find the Civilian Conservation Corps paper that you need. You can choose the state, the company, or even just the company number if you know that. The dissertations are a unique and valuable part of CRL's collection. We have over 800,000 titles from all over the world. And frequent requests for lists of dissertations from particular countries or institutions of interest led us to create the guided searches you see here. So as in this example, I chose country China, and once you do that, you'll see in the drop-down below it, under institution, all of the institutions for which we hold dissertations from that country. Once you find the item you wish to borrow, you can connect to your library's ILLiad request form by choosing your institution from the drop-down list on the sidebar. Click the orange triangle to go to your particular ILL form. And once you're here, patrons will have to sign in and fill out the form with the relevant information. The form, unfortunately, does not auto-populate. The final scope is the digital scope, which has all of CRL's online resources. This does not include the 2,000 or so DVD or CD-ROMs in the CRL's electronic collection, but those can be found using the other scopes. The results from your search will include links to the full catalog record or the digital resource itself. Click on the title to go to the record, and from there you can link to the digital resource once you've verified that this is indeed the item that you wish to see. The link to the resource is also on the results page, if you can tell from the list that this is the item that you need. So both links will take you to the digital delivery system page. If the item is stored on CRL's server, we do occasionally catalog outside electronic resources, but most of the items for which you'll find through our catalog are stored on our server, so you can be assured that you will have permanent access to the material. And here's just an overview of CRL's digital collection. As you can see, most of the items have been generated from ILL requests, but CRL is generating more and more resources through partnerships and special projects. Information about these special projects can be found on the Digital Collections page on CRL's website. You can also link to just our general list of items that we have on our digital delivery system in that top item where it just is titled Items. So now we'll just show you a few examples of some of our special collections. First is this Chinese pamphlets collection, our foreign official gazettes, and manuscripts from Timbuktu. So perhaps these are not the bread and butter resources that make up our daily ILL lending, but they are all important nonetheless. And these are these examples, I think, give you a good idea of the type of presentation that CRL will be employing with future sort of sub-collections or smaller collections within our electronic resources. So browsing CRL's collection is a great way to get to know the collection, but loading records in your catalog gets the records in front of your users. So one of the most important ways to increase your use of CRL's collection is to load the CRL records into your local catalog. And there are 3 ways, and each has benefits and drawbacks, and we're happy to talk with you about those in depth anytime. Just send us an email or call. So the first is just to obtain the records directly from CRL. And so this slide is just really for your reference for later, if this is an option that you'd like to explore. But one of the benefits of obtaining the records directly from CRL is that you can choose to load all of the records or just a small slice. And I think we found that the most successful of the smaller slices that people load is really the electronic resource. That makes the most sense in your local catalog. People have direct access, immediate access to our resources. But if this is something you'd like to explore, my colleague Jocelyn Luisma, information is on this slide, and please do contact us. So the second way of obtaining CRL records is to obtain them through your discovery systems. Most libraries seem to employ discovery systems these days, and CRL provides its records on a quarterly basis to all of the major discovery systems. And certainly the benefit to loading the records this way is that it automatically updates within your system. I believe there's no reloading quarterly, as there would be if you loaded the records directly from us. One of the drawbacks is that you can't choose to load just a slice of the records. All of our records are provided to the discovery systems, and that's what you have available to you. So the third option for loading records, if you are just interested in the records for our electronic resources, is to obtain the records through the WorldShare Collection Manager. We have created 3 collections, so you can load all of the records, the electronic records, for monographs, newspapers, or serials by downloading all of the records from each of the collections, or you can just choose perhaps that the newspapers are the most important to you. These are updated every day as we process ILL requests for material, and we digitize in order to fulfill those ILL requests. We create catalog records for those electronic resources every day and update everything through the WorldShare. And if you're familiar with WorldShare Collection Manager, you can set alerts, and you can decide how frequently you get those alerts to let you know what new records or updated records there are in the WorldShare Collection Manager. So if you have additional questions about the configuration for the Collection Manager or obtaining the records that way, I've just given you the OCLC page to find out more information. And one of the most important things, no matter how you load CRL's records, is to make sure that you distinguish between our print or microform and our digital resources. Because we digitize from our collection, you will often find duplicate records or duplicate titles for a resource, but for different formats. And we want to make sure that your patrons can distinguish between the electronic, which they have immediate access to, and the other ones that they would have to go through ILL. And so here's just an example from the University of Florida of how they've handled that. And this example of the single record from the University of Florida for a CRL resource also highlights what you can do if you load the records locally. So this would not be through your discovery system, but if you load them directly into your catalog, at the very bottom, they have a little link to request the item. And I believe that is something that you can only employ if you load the records locally. Certainly if you wanted to auto-populate the form. So once you have all of the records available to your patrons, if you still need help in understanding what CRL holds or want to know more information about what might be available or made available through any of our purchasing programs, certainly contact us for a reference consultation. My understanding is there are no questions too narrow or too broad. We're happy to help wherever we can, and this service is open to librarians, faculty, and students. So please send us an email. Thank you very much, and I'll turn this over to my colleague Kevin Wilks to explain borrowing.
Hi, this is Kevin Wilks of the Access Services Department. I'm going to talk with you about how to borrow, how we deliver, one of the best programs I think here at CRL, which is our demand purchase program, and how to access our digital collection. Now, borrowing from CRL is easy. You may send us requests through OCLC, Iliad symbol. Our symbol is CRL, and we ask you to enter us into the lender stream first to get the max out of your membership. If you put us in 2 times, this will allow us the opportunity to correspond with you through conditionals if necessary. Although this is not our preferred method for receiving requests, we will accept requests, however, via fax, hard copy forms sent through the mail, such as the ALA ILL form, or even through our general email account. And Amy also stated earlier how you may also find on our online catalog the option to request CRL material by pointing your users to your Iliad. Many of our members are involved with consortiums that facilitate resource sharing. We have joined many of these consortiums, such as Linda Hall Library, Rapid, Prospector for our Colorado members, Connect New York, UBorrow, and Borrow Direct. We're always willing to explore the possibility of joining other consortiums which will benefit our members' use of the center and its material. All of our collection does circulate to our member institutions, including microfilm and unbound serials. We are used to getting requests for 10 years of a daily newspaper, which may come out to about 300 reels. We have a very generous loan period for our members of 6 months with unlimited renewals. And the only time you'll probably hear my beautiful voice is when I contact you about a recall for another member institution. All of our loans are sent UPS, second-day delivery. For our Ohio members, we use the Ohio Link Courier system. And for our Illinois members, we use ILDS. It is our desire to assist our members in any way we possibly can. For copies, we use Odyssey, email PDF attachment, fax, US mail, aerial, or whatever method is preferred by your institution. We're able to turn around and or respond to most requests within 24 hours. Possible delays could be anything like a citation problem or just that the material is not on the shelf. But even with that, 90% of our field loans and articles have a 1 business day turnaround time. Now, for our demand purchase program, this is a program which not only saves you time but money as well by letting us purchase requested material for your patrons' use. It covers 3 areas: archival material, newspapers, and foreign doctoral dissertations. The demand purchase process is initiated by you submitting an IRL request, and to help expedite the whole demand purchase process, we ask you to put something in the borrowing notes just stating, "Please purchase." There is a $2,000 limit per patron each fiscal year. Now, what that means is that each patron within your institution has a $2,000 limit that they can use. For archival material, this is material such as the U.S. National Archives, Great Britain National Archives, but it no longer is limited to just archives of the national government. We have also expanded this program to include the archives of semi-government organizations, NGOs, and institutions. For newspapers, this is foreign and domestic, of which we already own one date. So what I mean by that is, for instance, if we own April 1985 of the Daily Graphic out of Ghana, if your patron wants 1982, we will do our best to purchase it for your patron's use. For foreign doctoral dissertations, these are any foreign doctoral dissertation outside of the U.S. and Canada. And once again, to help expedite the process, we ask you to put a note in the borrowing notes. If not, though, please purchase. We're finding out that many institutions are requesting a signed copyright declaration form, and many of them have their own specific forms, such as Cambridge and Hong Kong, Manchester, and Oxford. If you do not have a copy of a certain copyright declaration form, please contact us and we'll get one to you as soon as possible. Many of the British Library dissertations are now accessible through their Ethos program. If there is a cost for the initial scanning of the dissertation, if you will send us a request, we will pay for that initial scanning cost. Once the scans are available, we'll inform you so that you may be able to access them. CRL has contributed to the scanning of dissertations provided by Ethos. With many institutions not allowing libraries to collect their dissertations, it may be possible that the awarding institution may send the dissertation directly to your patron. If that is so, we would like for you to inform us so we may clear our records. Even if you are not certain if we hold or collect an item, it is still possible that we could purchase it. Please send us a request and just state in the borrowing notes, please purchase if not owned. I strongly suggest that you take full advantage of the demand purchase program. We are filling more and more of our requests digitally. Our goal is to provide research and teaching material in a digital format, making the access of the material more efficient and expedient. Each year we have digitized on demand nearly 1 million pages. Our e-resource collection includes everything from dissertations, such as The Viking Way by Neil Price, to colonial government reports, such as the report by His Majesty's government in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Our current turnaround time for digital delivery is between 5 to 10 business days. We are willing to work with faculty members who desire to have material digitized for class use. We will scan not only hard copy, but also micro format as well. This includes microcards. Our digital delivery is generated through an IRL request from your institution. When an IRL request is sent to the center, we have the material paged. It's then reviewed to see if it meets the criteria for digitization. We check the material's fragility and content. Once it has been decided that the material is eligible for digitizing, the requesting library is informed that we will attempt to fill the request digitally. The material is then given the file name and delivery date. It is then sent for scanning and saved as a PDF file with embedded OCR. A link is also placed on our OPAC for any future use. The requesting library is then informed by email with the URL. We update the WorldCat record, keeping our holdings current. There are 2 categories allowing access to our digital collection. Material not under copyright falls under open access, allowing the general public viewing privileges. Restricted material is only accessible by our members after agreeing to the terms of use. When the material is under copyright, the patron is taken to this screen. Once the server has verified the IP address as a valid member institution and the patron has agreed to the terms of use, the scans will appear. If your patron is off campus, they will need to have proxy through your institution. You may visit these sites for more information on member access, and access through proxy. Now, if you have a visiting scholar, a possible scholar visiting the Chicago area, and they want to use our material on site here in Chicago, we ask you to give us a call 3 business days in advance notice to make certain that the material is here, since all of our material does circulate to our member institutions. Our reading room hours are Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock to 2, by appointment only. But if a patron comes and we have not been notified, we will do our best to accommodate them. If you have any problems, questions, or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me or my assistant, Michelle Carver, or just send us an email through our Access Services email account. I'm now turning it over to James Simon.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Amy. I hope that this is giving you what you were looking for, and we do want to make sure to remind you and invite you to submit any questions or comments you may have via the chat screen. We are monitoring that, and we will address your questions as they come along. In the meanwhile, however, I wanted to talk a little bit about, as I mentioned, how CRL is extending the reach of its collections through the network partnerships and collaborations that we've been brokering since about 2008. This is an opportunity for CRL to extend access to its resources and to resources beyond the physical collection that we have through primary partnerships with like-minded institutions as well as with commercial providers to extend greatest access and functionality to our resources. One of those collaborations includes the World Newspaper Archive, a program that was initiated by CRL in response to members' requests and interest in making accessible historical newspapers from around the world. CRL engaged in a partnership with Redex, a division of Newsbank, to work on digitization of historical collections from Africa, Latin America, South Asia, and other world regions. We do this with a commercial provider because of the benefits of scale and functionality of platform. However, this program is not your typical vendor relation. The World Newspaper Archive is a community-sourced and community-controlled program through which CRL and its members source the content, prioritize materials to be digitized, define the scope and aspects of the collection, and control the rights to those resources themselves. That is, as we make this content available, we've governed terms by which this material will revert back to CRL's control and its members at the end of a specified term. Moreover, any of the materials sourced by member institutions, the source institution can also receive copies of the materials and are free to do what they will with those materials. CRL also governs the terms and conditions of pricing and access to this material for its member institutions. Therefore, we're able to provide access to these materials at vastly discounted rates than what you would be forced to pay through any other commercial provider. So this has been a highly successful program, and all of the funds that go towards the digitization, anything that goes above the costs covered, go back into the digitization of additional resources. Another way that CRL is extending access to collections is through partnerships with like-minded institutions in the digitization of critical primary source collections. We have provided financial and infrastructure support to a number of communities for their digitization initiatives, which includes the scanning, processing of materials, the OCR, and hosting of those materials. We also work with member institutions and other communities to provide direct support for their own digital initiatives. One example of this is Project Ceres, CRL's Global Resources Partnership in Agriculture. We worked on this project because CRL has historically strong collections in the history and economics of agriculture, and we sought to work with the community that has been working in this area to extend access to collections in electronic format. So in partnership with the U.S. Agricultural Information Network and AGNIC, CRL has supported for 5 years or so, maybe more, 5 years, a digitization competitive program through which institutions can submit ideas for digital projects, An advisory committee reviews and approves those projects, and CRL funds the digitization of agricultural and agricultural extension publications held by those participating institutions. Tied to this is also work with those institutions to ensure the archiving of the original print collections. We see this as a vital part of any partnership that we engage in, as we see preservation and digital access as intrinsically tied and in fact necessary conditions for each other. We also provide support to the area materials projects, or the AMPs as we call them, for the digitization of unique international primary source materials. The AMPs are increasingly engaging in digitization initiatives through which critical materials in languages other than English and other than publications other than those in the United States are being made available not just to CRL member institutions, but also to institutions in the source regions themselves. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the Linda Hall Library. The Linda Hall Library of Science, Engineering, and Technology is our partner in the Global Resources Partnership for STE. In 2012, CRL and the Linda Hall Library entered into a strategic partnership to develop historical research collections in the fields of science, technology, and engineering. The partnership really builds on the rich holdings of the two institutions for the rich holdings in print, and together the collections of CRL and the Linda Hall Library constitute a premier library of global science. The benefits of the partnership that CRL has brokered includes the preservation and development of the research collections, but more importantly, access to more than 50,000 current and historical journals from the two collections. We provide access to those materials essentially through article delivery using the Rapid ILL service. Your institutions should already be set up to request materials through the Rapid ILL service. Many of your institutions are already members of Rapid, but through the CRL partnership, any institution who's not already a Rapid member can be set up to access the CRL and Linda Hall collections through Rapid ILL. Rapid is a unique and efficient document delivery service that was developed or designed and implemented by Colorado State University. It was designed for fast and efficient product delivery. There are members worldwide in this program. The benefits of using Rapid ILL are a rapid turnaround, hence the name, within 24 hours, and their high system fill rate. Last time I looked at it, the fill rate system-wide was over 93%. So they have very precise procedures for requesting and accessing the materials. Basically, through the partnership with CRL and Linda Hall, all you need to do is to submit your article requests into the Rapid system. Rapid does all the work from there. It checks the holdings of the Linda Hall Library and the CRL Library to see if we hold those materials. If they are available through the partnership, you will receive access to those articles generally within a 24-hour or one business day turnaround. If the material is not held by our two institutions, they will then go on through the system to be requested by other institutions. If you're a Rapid member, they will go on to other Rapid pods. If you're not a Rapid member, they will get turned back to you to be requested through your other lending protocols. Many people ask, well, what is held within those 50,000 current and historical journals? I can tell you that this includes uniquely held and rare materials, but also the print serials from some of the major scientific producers, such as Elsevier, Wiley, Springer, and other publishers. The bulk of the use that we're seeing from the Linda Hall partnership includes materials that were produced within the past 10 years or so. So it is not just a historical collection, but also much more recent publications. If you're not already set up and are not using the Rapid system to request materials first, you should make sure that you're doing so. This is absolutely free to your institution, and it is one of the key benefits of membership within CRL. However, if you are interested in learning more about the Linda Hall Library collection, we can point you either to the Linda Hall Library catalog, or you can gain access to the information about the titles that are held in Linda Hall through CRL's Print Archives Preservation Registry, otherwise known as PAPER. This is a registry that has been set up across the community to register holdings about materials that are being preserved in print by major print archives or print sharing programs. The Linda Hall Library has set up a program directory information within the paper registry so that you can see the terms of preservation and access to those materials, and you're allowed to download the archived holdings of the Linda Hall Library. So you can just see a screenshot here. If you're interested in looking at this more, I encourage you to visit paper, that's papr.crl.edu. Finally, another partnership that I wanted to cover that extends access to a vast collection of material that significantly augments CRL's own holdings is our Global Resources Partnership in Law with the Law Library Microform Consortium, otherwise known as LLMC. LLMC Digital is an initiative to make electronically available the vast resources of legal and government information that are held by primarily law libraries at your institutions, but also to the collections here at CRL. CRL's partnership with LLMC has included the digitization of materials not just from our collections, but also from other designated institutions. Part of this partnership is the strategic digitization of targeted materials from CRL and its member library collections. Another important aspect of this partnership, however, is that all CRL members gain access to LLMC Digital's vast collections beyond the CRL partnership. LLMC has over 63 million pages of converted legal and government resources within LLMC Digital. This includes executive, judicial, legislative materials from the U.S. and from countries worldwide. LLMC is increasingly expanding its content to include additional materials that are accessible only to CRL and LLMC members, but they're also brokering open access partnerships as well, including materials from Cuba, Haiti, and other countries, part of their historical legal collections that they have. Annually, we digitize over 3.9 million pages through the LLMC Digital Partnership. Records for the LLMC Digital Collections are available from OCLC. LLMC makes available its records in Mark 21 format for any institution to download through OCLC. But also they make their collections available, as Amy was mentioning with the CRL collections, through the OCLC WorldShare Collection Manager. All you need to do is set up your profile for the LLMC Digital Collections, and you can download or gain access to these records, thus populating your collections with all of the resources that LLMC is making available through the CRL partnership to your institution. Although LLMC historically has been of interest to the legal libraries, as I mentioned, there are vast quantities of materials that are important for historical, political, and sociological research. So I encourage you to look at this collection and to integrate those records into your own discovery systems as well. This will vastly increase access to important U.S. and international historical materials that are of interest to your patrons. So that's an overview of CRL's collection partnerships. I want to turn this over now to Virginia Kerr to talk a little bit about how you can maximize your participation and promote CRL to your patrons.
Thanks, James. I'm Virginia Kerr, Head of Communications and Development here at CRL. I'm going to shift the scene just a bit here. We realize that in order for libraries to make the best use of their CRL membership, a key strategy is to raise awareness among scholars, both faculty and advanced level students, about what resources are available. Discovery of specific citations is important, but it's also helpful to know there's something worth looking for in the CRL collections. To that end, we encourage and support local marketing and awareness campaigns about CRL. On the CRL website, we cite model examples of promoting CRL on local libraries' websites. These can be full pages located in the services or resources sections of your websites, and you could also consider adding references to CRL within specific subject research guides. We provide boilerplate wording on our website, and we're also happy to consult further on drafting or updating information about the collections and services available from CRL. Here's some examples of local marketing which we do cite from our website. Dartmouth College has a full page describing CRL resources and how to access them, including through Borrow Direct. The University of San Diego Library web pages on CRL are extensive, and they include tabs describing resources available through the CRL partnerships that James just mentioned, including here a full page of information on the Linda Hall partnership and what scholars at University of San Diego can find available through that partnership. Here's an example of one of several places where on the Dartmouth College Library website where they've inserted references to CRL collection strengths within their research guides. And here's an example from Pepperdine University of a reference within a resource guide for a history course. Even in a digital age, printed handouts can sometimes reinforce awareness of resources. We've developed several printed resources which you can distribute locally, and they are described on our website. By the way, this is an excerpt from the same page where we cite the model practices of local libraries' websites describing CRL, but we also feature there a couple of printed resources which we've created, and you can request from us copies of these to distribute locally. We have an attractive collections brochure describing the global range of CRL collections, noting particular strengths and featured items. This is particularly useful for orientation of new faculty or graduate students. And CRL bookmarks can be very handy anywhere you offer promotional literature. We've been exploring other ways to reach the elusive attention of scholars on your campus. This winter, we debuted the semi-annual Scholars Edition of our Connect e-newsletter with brief items on recent acquisitions and digitization efforts. And we are hoping that you can forward these on to faculty. There are individual annotations of particular additions to the collection. You could select what might be pertinent and forward that, or forward the full newsletter to a faculty department. We're also currently exploring providing content about CRL collections for local work in developing digital ads for display within the library or throughout the campus. We've been talking with one library in particular about providing content so they can create customized digital ads. We'd be very interested in hearing if that's something you would be interested in locally, and we could work with you directly in providing content. Now we'd like to turn to addressing your questions, and I'm going to hand this back over to James Simon.
Thank you. We did ask a number of questions on registration as to what you might be interested to learn during the course of this presentation, and I hope that we've answered a number of those interests on your behalf. There were two folks who asked some questions about open access or member access materials only. And I just wanted to address those. So one question was interested in learning more about accessing open access works, and the other one was related to access to the restricted materials via proxy. So I'm going to address them both in turn. As Kevin mentioned, CRL's electronic resources are governed by the two major systems, open access or restricted access. One of the things that we did as we set up our system was to make sure that members had as transparent access as possible to all of the CRL electronic resources. So if you are behind your IP authentication, you have access to all of the materials transparently. For materials that may be under copyright, you would be asked to click on the terms and conditions, the participation terms for using those resources. Otherwise, if you're behind your IP authentication, you have access to everything. For materials, as Kevin mentioned as well, if you're off campus or if your scholars are off campus, they may receive a notice that says that it looks like they're not accessing this from a CRL institution and that they may need to gain access to the material through the proxy system. So we do encourage you to make sure that your patrons are coming into CRL via proxy access one way or another. At CRL's annual meeting in 2016, we posed a question to the members, however. Given that with our content partnerships, we were receiving more and more materials electronically that may be in the public domain, Did it make sense to restrict those content materials to CRL members only, or should we make them more accessible broadly via open access? The CRL membership broadly agreed that it was consistent with their mission to make public domain materials, wherever possible, open access. And so CRL has been revising its policies and its procedures so that any material found to be in the public domain will be put up in our system as open access resources. So more and more of our materials will be made accessible to the general public and to the source communities that generated that material as well. We did receive another question from Carolyn regarding CRL's strategic directions and how these might impact ILL and access policies for the members. As many of you have been alerted to, our CRL's annual meeting is coming up here in April, and part of that discussion is the transformation of CRL into a broader network of institutions that can support access to resources. We are looking to extend the partnership concepts that I've been describing to additional institutions to provide access to materials in the social sciences and humanities. We see as part of that process, access is a key component of any given partnership, and that we don't foresee any impact on access to CRL resources or to the resources that we are providing through these partnerships in any way that would negatively impact your ability to get access to those materials. So we're using the Linda Hall partnership as a minimum standard, if you will, to make sure that you have as transparent access as possible to any of the resources that are brokered through the CRL partnership. If you have more specific questions about that, Carolyn, I'd be happy to address those additionally or offline as well, but I hope that gives you some information about that. There was a question, I believe, for Kevin as well, right? There was one that I missed here. Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing. We'll get back to it if we can. If there are any additional questions, we'd be happy to answer them now. And I'll just hold the phone for a second. It looks like we don't have any additional questions coming in. So good, I guess that we've done our job very well. Great, so I think that we're going to wrap this up at this point, but if you have additional questions, I do encourage you to contact us. Here's the contact information for all of the presenters. We are at your disposal to answer any questions that you might have. In fact, all of the CRL staff is very eager to be in communication with you and your patrons, so feel free to reach out to us at any time. Virginia?
Thanks, James, and thanks to all of our speakers today. And as James said, please feel free to contact them with individual questions. We'd like to remind you of upcoming CRL events. Next week, there will be a webinar presented by staff from Portico, specifically on ebook preservation and Portico's efforts and plans for the future, challenges, lessons learned, etc. Then on April 21st, we have our annual Collections Forum, which follows the annual Council of Voting Members meeting, which is in the morning for directors and directors' representatives. The Collections Forum is open to all staff at CRL libraries. This year, we have two parts to the Collections Forum. Part one will be a continuation of the topics pursued at the eDesiderata Forum last fall, looking at licensing big data. This particular, we will look at some of the particular challenges that were raised in the fall and what CRL might be able to help coordinate among member libraries to address some of these challenges. There's more information on our website. Part two of the Collections Forum will be about future digitization plans, including ways to get more of your input on strategically addressing digitization of certain portions of our collection. So these are two essential topics. We really encourage you to consider putting in the time on the afternoon of Friday the 21st to attend that webcast. And you can register for either or both of these programs at the CRL events page. The URL is given here. We definitely hope that you will stay connected with CRL through looking through our website at some of the information and features of our collections and services that Amy and Kevin and James have described today. If you're not already signed up for CRL Connect, we certainly hope that you will consider doing that. It only comes out every 2 to 3 weeks. We won't flood your mailbox with, well, we do send out some messages, but CRL Connect has really essential information on activities, acquisitions, and programming at CRL. And I had mentioned the new Scholars Edition version of Connect. You can sign up for that in addition to CRL Connect. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We are active there. I also want to encourage you to fill out the survey, which you'll find as you exit this webinar. Your feedback is extremely important to us as we plan future programming to provide information and conversations among our members. And this presentation will be available soon on our YouTube channel, along with recordings of other presentations. We will send out a link to all registrants for the webinar. Thank you so much, and have a good afternoon.